Everyone on set is teasing me because they know how excited this makes me. It is time, once again, to move beyond the final frontier. Yeah, this morning we reignite my favorite segment. Undoubtedly, we've all come to absolutely love it, and it's going to blow your mind this morning. Time to venture forth into the final frontier. Joining us now is our new space expert, Dr. Daniel Kanema, who is the outreach astronomer at the South African Astronomical Observatory, a man who has his head firmly planted in the stars. And today we're talking about some very exciting and mind-blowing new developments from the Hubble Telescope and how a team of astronomers have found Earth-like planets around TRAPPIST-1, a star that's 40 light years away from Earth. I like the fact that the star is named after a beer, or a kind of beer. That is exciting. Doc, welcome to it.
Thank you.
This is really cool. So let's talk about the star first, before we delve into these Earth-like planets. TRAPPIST-1, a red dwarf star. Explain.
So yeah, stars come in a wide range of shapes and sizes. Well, all the same shape, but many sizes, many temperatures.
And ages.
And ages. So a red dwarf is a relatively small and relatively cool star. So about half the mass of our sun and about half the temperature. So they're actually very, very common stars. They make up about 3/4 of the stars in our galaxy. But they're very hard to see because they're small and they're not very bright. Yeah.
What does this mean for life existing around that star? When we talk about this as being our best opportunity to find a habitable planet, and it's in our backyard, this is not that far away.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
So the TRAPPIST-1 system was discovered about a year ago, and they discovered 7 planets orbiting around this one star. And about 4 of them exist in what is called the habitable zone. So that's the zone around the star where the temperature is about right for liquid water to exist. So 4 of these planets are sitting there. So we are now looking at them very, very closely and using Hubble and other telescopes to try and work out whether there's liquid water there and whether there's the possibility for life.
40 light years away, that's kind of like within our lifetime kind of vibe. Yeah, we're talking about, not mine, obviously, but this is the fact that we've only discovered this now within the last year. How were we able to see these? What
So the current telescopes are very, very impressive things. So as I said, it's a very small and dim star. But basically using various telescopes, about 7 telescopes around the world, including actually one of ours in Sutherland, the 1 meter in Sutherland,
nice.
Was used in this discovery. We basically monitor the star's light daily and constantly, and we look for tiny little dips in the brightness. And with those dips, we can see that a planet's moving in front of the star.
Moving in between us and that star.
So with this one, we obviously detected 7 little dips, and by mapping it over weeks and months, we can work out exactly how many planets there are and how big they are.
We're going to delve a little bit deeper into kind of, I think SpaceX obviously has made this feel a lot more real than most of us would have thought growing up, certainly. But how far away are we, do you think, will we see in our lifetime us going to other planets? Do you think Mars will happen in our lifetime, or is it still a bit of a pipe dream?
Well, I think after yesterday and the SpaceX launch, I think Mars is definitely going to happen in our lifetime. It's super exciting. I think in the next 30 years we'll see a man on Mars, maybe sooner. But Mars is relatively close, right? Moving 40 light years away.
What is the closest planet? Is that 40 light years?
To us as Mars, obviously within our solar system.
In terms of this new, possibly habitable...
so the closest star to us is 4 light years away, and it also has a planet around it, which, could be habitable. But that's still 4 light years away. We can't move anywhere close to the speed of light, so it's going to take a while.
We'll get there, man. Matt Damon, start packing your bags, buddy. Doc, thank you so much. We're going to keep you around. We're going to continue to chat about the significance of that, the Elon Musk's and SpaceX's kind of massive quantum leap forward at the moment. And we'd love to hear from you, man. Would you pack your bags and go to another planet?
It's my feel-good breakfast show. It's my feel-good breakfast show.
only we had the money for the graphics for me to beam in here. Just like beam in with our resident new expert, Dr. Daniel Kahnemer, outreach astronomer for the South African Astronomical Observatory. If we had more time, I'd ask you to explain the title. But this morning we are talking about a new solar system called TRAPPIST-1. Well, not new, obviously, but our connection to it has been reborn as we've discovered planets that could be habitable around it, some 40 light years away. So let's get real here. We can't travel at the speed of light. So how would we get there? What put our minds into perspective here.
So it's tricky. Basically, we can't move anywhere close to the speed of light using current technology. The fastest man-made spacecraft is Voyager 1, which was launched in 1977. It left
like a hot rod, yeah.
It left the solar system back in 2012. And it's moving at about 60,000 kilometers an hour, which is fast.
Yeah, man.
But it's still about 20,000 times slower than the speed of light. So moving at that speed, going to TRAPPIST-1 would take about 700,000 years.
All right, so
that's beyond our lifetime.
Great. So, failing our ability to bend space, which I think is probably going to come into play at some stage. This is something that it's got a lot of kind of momentum, but for what reason? I'm left asking, why is it so important for us to find other planets that could possibly be habitable when it's impossible to get there?
Yeah, so I mean, it's impossible to get here using current technology.
Yeah.
So what happens in the next 50, 100, 500 years, we're not sure. We may be able to move at 20% of the speed of light within the next 100 years, in which case it all of a sudden becomes a little bit more feasible to reach these nearby habitable planets. So that's one aspect. But more than that, I think astronomy in general is there to inspire and to answer the big questions. And one of the biggest questions is, are we alone?
Yeah.
And the first step in finding life elsewhere is to find habitable planets.
I know, I mean, at this stage we're talking about like bacteria and microbes and that sort of thing, but if we can see them, they might be able to see us. And let's just put it into perspective. We did strap a car with a mannequin in a spacesuit that actually works onto the top of the biggest rocket ever fired into space, pretty much, and the rocket came back down safely. This really is cool. It's a very expensive venture. A lot of people saying that there is a philosophical kind of new boundary that is being broken here. Should we not be spending this money here on Earth, rather looking at our own environment? Where I would imagine you sit on one side of the fence, but how do you broach that?
No, I think it's a good question. It's and definitely something we should always be considering is whether this is worthwhile. But I think the benefits which have come out of space and over the last 50 years in space exploration are mind-blowing. I mean, if you just think about satellite technology, for example, that's in the last 50 years. We now have GPS, which has innumerable benefits, not just for you getting to work in the morning, but satellites up there are constantly monitoring weather, storms. We can use them for storm predictions. We can monitor vegetation changes and development and all these things, which are directly contributing to helping the environment. So in that sense, space exploration has benefited
it's
the
one and
environment.
the same thing, man.
Absolutely.
I think we'd be marveling at, next time you use your scientific calculator, for instance, and I think we'd marvel at how much has been the quantum leaps forward that we've taken through space exploration. But just imagine the amount of kids that were inspired by this rocket yesterday. It's absolutely awesome. Elon Musk, we love you, man. So Matt Damon, you can still go and pack your bags. Doc, awesome to have you in studio. We'll see you again next week.
Cheers.